Welcome to Venus Transmissions. I'm Sat Avtar. I'm back in Tulum, and today we're going to talk about the connection between narcissistic abuse and chronic illness, or abuse, any of that power structure, and the dynamic of codependency and why it creates chronic illness. And then also the interesting statistic that chronic illness affects like 80% of women versus men. So first things first, if you are feeling overwhelmed, disempowered, you want to make changes, if you're a woman or a man, but especially because my channel is geared towards women, I have a free voice course, a voice activation, a voice awakening, an empowerment course, just so you can dip a toe in how important waking your voice up is, and that connection between spirit, voice, expression, and our health. It's at venustransmissions.com. AquarianYogi.net also is my online Kundalini Yoga membership. There's dozens of beautiful videos so that you can practice at home. Kundalini Yoga was one of the things, I was already practicing it when I had this huge flare-up of chronic illness, but I started practicing it even more and practicing it at home. So I created this platform, and there's all sorts of lengths of meditations, and you can do it at home, you can process at home, and it's really important that we have that space. So anyway, here we go. Firstly, let me say, I am a firm believer in the power of the mind. I also have healed chronic illness, and I want women to believe, and men and people to believe that are dealing with these things, that you can get better. You will get better. We have to move forward and be fluid and understand that these things are like a glitch in our energy system. And there's things that we can do to heal that. But the most important thing is looking at the root cause. Really, it's codependent, abusive, manipulative, narcissistic relationships. Now, the interesting thing is that we're literally living in a society that is imbalanced. The masculine has been in charge for a long time. So that's part of why there is this just, 80% of women are the ones that deal with chronic illness, is because this is the power structure that we're in. And women have, for centuries not been looked at or experienced themselves as their own sovereign being connected to their spirit. And this is the core of what causes these dis-eases. It is that separation from soul and self. In my experience, I've been fine for a long time, but I actually recently had a flare-up because I was processing something so deep related to narcissistic abuse, and I was in a situation to relive this pattern with family. On the outside, but I had to choose myself, and through that choosing myself, through that saying no to the very nearest of family that I have, I got to get a lot of my power back. But it caused some, reemergence, like reprocessing of things that I had experienced before. What it really comes down to, obviously there's environmental factors. The fact that we're, living in a world where, we're breathing in exhaust, homes. Actually, your home is said to have more toxins than anywhere else. The daily products that we're using have a lot of chemicals in them, and our bodies aren't made, our livers are not made to process that much. And if you don't have a regular yoga practice, detox practice, you're sweating, you're getting these toxins out of your body, you're eating the right foods, then that can also aggravate. But they say, oh, well, it's hereditary. But if it's so hereditary, why does it explode? What happens when no one else in our family ever had it? None of the men ever had it, but all the women seem to have it. What is going on with that? That's what I've seen and experienced. I started practicing Kundalini Yoga 25 years ago. It really has given me. And that's how I teach it. I teach it not so people look to me as their guru, but they find guru means that energy in you that you are that brings you from darkness to light. Everyone, the practice is so that everyone can find that within themselves. Because when we want others to do it for us, that is inherently codependency. That is what separates you from your soul, from your truth, from your authenticity, and that is what causes chronic illness. It's the siphoning of your life force. When you're not in your body, you experience chronic pain. What do I mean by that? So the pain that's associated with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, you feel physical pain. That is the indication that you are not in your body. Your nervous system, your body, your brain, you're functioning constantly in a fight or flight pattern. But once you get back into the body, I guarantee that pain goes away. And it doesn't have to take a long time. It can be like that. I've experienced it. I have gone from feeling all over almost crippling body pain, wanting to cry, to literally 30 seconds later having no pain and feeling an openness and a flow. That is the magic and the miracle of understanding how abusive relationships they affect us. Because basically, we are choosing someone else over ourselves. We're making someone else more important. And we're basically saying that we're not going to be okay unless we get that other person, that outside thing, or that validation. And what happens is this comes from childhood. It's deeply embedded in our psyche and passed on from generation to generation. When we're young and we grow up with parents that don't validate us, they make their happiness about what we are or aren't doing. And we make our happiness about pleasing other people. And that is not self-sovereignty. And when that happens, you grow up in a structure where you don't have your own identity. And let's look at the structure of what women and men have been living in for centuries. All of that literature in like the 1950s, 60s, 40s, when your husband comes home and do everything to make him happy, that a woman wasn't important enough to be happy. She wasn't important enough to put her happiness front and center as well. It is a loss of the identity. The personality projects itself. This is why we focus so much on the third eye, the pineal and the pituitary gland. These two glands. This is one that we're processing this matrix, and then we're projecting who we are. This gets all out of balance under stress. We no longer choose the things in our life for ourselves. If you're experiencing a chronic illness, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, I invite you to really take a serious look in your life, either where you're not choosing yourself, you're not loving yourself, you feel shame, you feel fear. On deep, deep beliefs, deep levels, you'll be able to feel it in your body, and look at that. Look at the relationships that you're choosing other people over yourselves, or thinking that somebody else is more powerful than you, or deserves more love, or that your well-being is based off whether or not that person loves you. Your safety is based off whether or not that person loves you. And it's not just romantic relationships, it's family. And perhaps you have done a lot of work and you do feel pretty clear, but all this stuff is coming up now because of the shift in consciousness. I invite you right now to say a prayer for yourself, a prayer of self-love for you and for your inner child, and start to have that conversation with her or him. VenusTransmissions.com for my free course. You can also sign up for private sessions. I have a 3-session package. I have free consultations, 20 to 30 minute consultations to see if we're the right fit, monthly coaching that you can do if you really, really want to get deep, if you're really wanting to step out into your power. Choose to work with me one-on-one in that way. But I have my other courses, Voice Alchemy, which is only $44 right now, 12 video classes and a 50-page ebook to open this up. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Spotify, beautiful healing music. You can do this. You're worth it. You're your entire world. You're the most important person in it. So whatever you have to sacrifice, whatever you have to walk away from, it's worth it. And when you give yourself a chance like that, you give everyone else a chance too.